Now, I'm going to apologise in advance. I have taken hay fever medication, but who knows, it is still tickling me. So I'm going to, try and deal with that throughout the rest of the day, evening. Now don't forget, this is a best of 7 series. So the moment someone wins, 4 games in total, then they will have the victory. This is ASAT as our first map. Andreas in red and Diskraip in blue. These guys both normally pick a purpley colour, which we can't have a purple versus lavender, it just wouldn't go brilliantly. And here we are. The soundtrack blares as Diskraip spawns in on the north. His lovely blue beast commander going bots first into air second on this relatively small map, only 450 radius. 54 metal into a second bot factory as his third. Down here on the south though, we've got AndreasG in red. Current Uber number 1, Diskraip was Uber number 2 at the end of last season, going vehicles first. And here with the strikers, I understand that Andreas has been using strikers a lot previously, and I did see Andreas and Nimzo practicing on this map. So this is quite a strong pick for Andreas. We'll have to see if Disc can keep up, as it were. Coming out with 2 fabbers there and a second vehicle factory into a third vehicle factory. Is that blimey? Andreas is going very ground heavy, very against the meta here, whereas Diskraip is going very meta here. Triple fabs into the second. And these strikers, of course, are a relatively new unit in PA. They're something of a fast vehicle, which isn't necessarily a counter to docks, but it can at least go toe-to-toe with them. And there we have Disc scouting in between the craters there, just to see if anything's coming his way. Here, though, a striker potentially picking off a fab. He does get a fab pick there. That's a nice win for Andreas. In comes an Icarus, though, for Disc to try and defend this. He managed to take out an additional docks there, did that, but there we go, a nice bit of defense there from Disc, and now it turns to Andreas to be able to bring this into his air factory to be able to deal with these Icarus, because at the moment he doesn't have any air whatsoever. He does, however, have anti-air. There are a few spinners roving around here. We have a couple of fabs going off in a backwardly direction to go and expand around the back of this planet, which we haven't seen yet, but there's a quick look at it. Some nice localized expansions. And yet another raiding force of strikers. Here we go. 4 this time, seen by Disc. We're going to be having our Icarus flying over here very, very quickly indeed. And while that's happening, Disc has managed to get a sneaky air fab out to the other side. Given how aggressively Andreas is playing, he won't be expecting Disc to be expanding quite so brazenly over the back there. Instead, going for the typical expansion locations, running into more Icarus there, and shut down very, very easily. Also expanding to the other side here. Icarus looking for a fab snipe, isn't going to get one unfortunately, because of the spinners standing sentry. That is the nature of the beast. Ooh, 3 Icarus coming in now. This, of course, is giving Diskraip a little bit of an economic boost in terms of power. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. Could it be enough? I don't know. How's audio, by the way, guys? Just a quick check if you guys are happy with those. Here again, more Icarus coming out. Here, there, and everywhere. Andreas moving a sizable force of vehicles up. Again, not seeing Disc's expansion there. Doesn't have radar coverage of it. Which is quite fortunate. Oh, hello. Large force of strikers going to be taking out those docks there. Nicely, nicely, softly, softly catchy monkey. Moving around the back though. Disc has a huge amount of expansion compared to Andreas so far. However, the factory counts do still favour Andreas. 6 to 5. fabs, however, favour Disc, and he does have enough mechs to be able to deal with it. Looks like Disc is being able to really adapt to what Andreas is throwing at him, locking down with not only just a factory, but also turrets as well. Knowing this striker play, going for the turrets is quite a wise play here. Look at that. Eats them up. Absolutely. Brutally. T2 there for Disc as well, starting the vehicles. Disc managing to hold his own here quite nicely against this relentless striker build. And only now is Andreas starting to get his air out, so only now is he going to be able to start contesting against these Icarus, and he's going around mopping those up quite nicely, getting a little bit of scout off, sees where Disc has expanded with just the odd fab or two, and sends some strikers immediately to deal with the threats. Did manage to see the back there with that air fab that was taken down. Unfortunately, there was no anti-air built there, so a single Bumblebee can go and deal with that quite nicely. However, the fact that it got up at all will probably have paid for itself by the time that it all gets bombed out. It also gives Disc a chance to respond to it there. Maybe send over another air fab to go and deal. That's as it is. So Andreas started his T2, yet he has not. Instead prefers to go a slightly heavier factory build, up to 8 now, compared to Disc's 7. Few docks wandering out and about there. Going to get intercepted by these strikers. Don't have a huge amount of consolidated forces on the part of Disc at the moment, so when it comes to beating back this striker onslaught, it's going to be a bit tricky. A little bit of raiding there, which is nice. Icarus could be coming in and picking off there, but instead Disc's attention is probably elsewhere. We've got a little engagement here. Fighting from inside the crater, I believe, gives its advantages. Out comes the Spark and the Ants as well, completely finishing off that force with a really nice trade there as a result of using that crater. And the Pelters are beginning. We've got Pelter versus Pelter here. Are we going to have a Bumblebee come in and try and snipe those fabs now that it's been seen? Maybe a striker or two, but they can't quite sneak past the areas covered by all of these torpedoes now. Disc's still yet to go on the offensive. He's kind of being defensive and digging his heels in response. A little bit of a trade there. Just a little bit of an air spat, as it were. And here comes the levelers. The T2 is up and ready for Disc, which is big. T2 for Andreas. The bots instead might have to go Blue Hawks here. We're coming out with a Mend of all things. Switching up to Blue Hawks. There we go. In response to the levelers as seen. Blue Hawks coming out. But does he have the time to do so? He will if Disc doesn't necessarily push in at this particular moment. Disc also being very perceptive here. Wise, bringing in a Skitter. Going to be able to see any mines that could be built at any point. But here are our Blue Hawks. 2 out now on the field. Going to need some Shellers out, and there's the first. Going into T2 bots as well as Disc. A second T2 factory. That's a little bit out of the meta there. Generally in the meta at the moment you have a single factory that you assist out. Going 2 factories in such quick succession is somewhat unusual. Somewhat unusual indeed. But here we go. In come the levelers over the crest of this crater. The Sparks leading the way. The Skitters and the Docks bringing it up from the west. But the Blue Hawks retreating. 4 of them now, almost 5. Going to fall back to this factory. Retreating behind it so that they're not in line of sight of these levelers while still being able to fire their missiles with impunity. And that is a problem that Disc needs to solve without necessarily pushing in and losing his forces. Instead, retreating, consolidating and using Shellers to be able to counter this threat. Which is why we see a retreat here. That Sheller is not going to make it in time. And now Andreas smells that he can counter push here. More places than one. A line of mines here to deal with Andreas's potential assaults from that side. We haven't got too much in the way of engagements elsewhere. But it's this column of bots that is a problem for Disk right now. He's going to really want to get some stuff out of the T2 bots to be able to deal with this. The Shellers are going to be crucial in the defense here. Overcome the air. See what's happening. They give the Blue Hawks the vision and the range. We see the volleys coming off immediately. Losing levelers immediately. Andreas with the micro here. Coming in to cover the line and then retreating. Disk struggling for metal a little bit, but determined to get this T2 bots up and running. More fabbers coming out. A load of them idle. What are we going to do here? Come and assist? There it is. God. Incredible. Of course, with such a small planet, radar has quite a large coverage, which is going to be really useful for things like Blue Hawks, Sniper Bots, Shellers, and all that jazz. Pelters even. What did I just see over there? Oh, Blue Hawks. There we go. Going around raiding in their twos, which is perfectly feasible. Diskraip there, having to respond to that, but can't really, other than retreat fabbers away. Try and push in on another direction, but Andreas here with these small groups of Blue Hawks pushing in and around, poking the bear, seeing what he can do. Disk sending his entire force down the eastern side of this crater. Meanwhile, Andreas has this small raiding force pushing in from the west, and Disk doesn't have anything to deal with this. The Shellers can just about reach. I can show you their weapon range there, and combined range across all Shellers on the field at the moment. Just pushing Andreas back. Slowly but surely. We've got Sniper Bots out now as well. Don't have quite the same range of the Shellers, but they certainly have the faster projectile. To there now. There we go. Disk, instead of pushing in, elects to retreat. An interesting choice. Perhaps he doesn't feel like he has the ability to fully commit here. I don't know. I think with his Shellers he probably would have that ability. Interesting that we now see Andreas going into the T2 vehicles. Perhaps he realises that he has to respond to this in that way. Looking at the economy gains now, though, it's not looking good for Disk. Andreas has mopped up around the rest of the planet here. We can see where Disk's expansions all used to be, and they are not any longer. Disk has dithered. He had quite a big push there. Allowed Andreas to regroup his forces. He could force Andreas to push through the mines here, lose a few units in as a result. Losing a few docks to the mines there. Andreas is aware. He pulls back a little bit. Moving a Sniper Bot at such close range of docks. Oh, it hurts. Andreas here covering the line, ready for Disk's slightly more concentrated push here. And here we go. While trying to micro the docks on the other side of the planet, while Disk is trying to re-expand with this huge fabber train of no less than 11 fabricators, he's trying to find a way of pushing in on the front lines. He doesn't seem to have the fodder that deals with the Blue Hawks. However, he does have the Sniper Bots which shoot down the missiles, and here we go. Here's the push. He realises he has the opportunity now, as the Sniper Bots can pick off, theoretically, those missiles. Unless, of course, they're shooting at other things. They need to be at the back of the pack, so they're not using their shots, and instead are using them defensively. There we go. That's a bit better placement for them. And this push here is going to be quite devastating. Andreas has just got his T2 vehicles up. Could that be a saviour for him? Let's watch Disk Space up on the north there as Andreas continues to go and raid with small parties while defending a major base here. Disc has to push and win this now. Look at that economy difference, 220 to 96. Andreas' commander is running for the hills. Andreas' base and all of his economy there and factories are all in tatters. He's having to restart his energy production on the other side over here, and his commander has to keep running, but Disc's army has evaporated. Is that it for Disc? Look at the army counts now, 49 to 100. It's Andreas' game to lose now. Disc didn't quite manage to keep up with the expansion there, and now Andreas has the military force to be able to push in, but ugh, so many fabs from both sides. It's, ugh, ugh, ugh. It's now a case of Disc having to re-expand if he can at all, and there's the GG from him. I was going to say, if he could at all, completely hemmed in. Andreas had all the intel up at that point, the radars covering everything. He could see everything for a very long time there with all of those radar. And, wow, that was a game and a half. Let's hop back in and have a chat to them about that. That was quite something. Oh, okay. You guys have to use push to talk here. Let's hop up to the other channel. It'll be easier. There we go.
That explains it.
That's a bit easier. It's like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Hello.
Well. That was something of a game. Let's start with you, Andreas. That was a good win for you. I bet you're happy.
Yeah, it was good. It was down on the line there for a little while, with range against the pushing force. But yeah, I'm happy it turned out that way. It's interesting. I'm looking through the replay right now.
And what would you say was the thing that maybe clinched that game for you?
Well, it was map control, I guess, to some extent. Well, he did have good map control in the early game. Surprisingly well, it seemed like he was either prepared against the strategy from watching me play Nimser, or he adapted superbly to it. So he did what you should do in this scenario, is just rush out, grab as much of the map as possible, lock it down with turret, and then take it from there, right, and build up that big push, which it did. And I was kind of surprised when I saw his leveler turn out, because people don't really prefer levelers. So of course I then start building blue hawks and start the tedious work of targeting those levelers, which kept him at bay for a while. But you also know sort of that there is this critical mass incoming, and at this stage I'm raiding him better than he's managing to raid me, which I think is what clinched the game for me. So his map presence is slowly dwindling, and I'm being smart about my army movement and flanking, going around raiding spots instead of going for the base. And then when his eventual push comes, it's just barely not big enough, essentially.
And Disc, how do you feel about how that game went? We saw a really big push from you at one point, but you didn't seem to commit to it. You kind of got halfway there and then pulled back.
I did mistake when I start push with T2 tanks when they was ready. I think I must wait when I end my T2 bots and do some snipes for protect against Buhavk, and probably with it I can win, but I didn't do this and I lose. And after I did this mistake, I lose map control, and my economic was bad, and it was hard to return to the game.
But so this, did you expect this? Did you just expect the 3-tank opening with strikers?
No, but I understand how I can react on it.
Yeah.
I start build Icarus.
Yeah, it's very well, because as far as I'm aware, you don't have a lot of people going for triple tank openers, so it would be surprising to somebody who haven't seen it. But then again, I bet many more are going to do that in the future.
Well, talking of the future, Andreas, as now you have won the first game, Disk, you get the choice of next map. Which map would you like to play? Bear in mind you cannot choose ASAP.
I think we will play on Forge.
Forge?
Ooh.
Blimey, that's a blast from the past.
Me gusta.
Right, well, if you guys can hop into the lobby as fast as is commanderly possible. I don't know if that even makes sense. Now that you know that it's Forge, Andreas, what do you say to that? What are your thoughts?
I mean, my first thought is this is going to be Discus' attempt at just out-turreting me. But I got a message for you, Disc. You cannot out-turret me. It's not possible. I'm going to pelter your ass down.
Okay. I will start with air fabs and will reclaim your comb with it.
Sounds good. This is a donation. It's pretty good.
Oh dear. Of course, it's such a small map here, Andreas. You won't be able to do any striker shenanigans this time.
Nah, that would be impossible.
Or is it, Winky Face? Perhaps. Well, we'll find out, won't we? As ready to start?
We are ready.
I will wish you both again the best of luck, and may the best beast win.
Good luck with the cast too. And good luck, Disc.
Thank you very much. Right, see you guys on the other side. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Righty. Well, we're playing on Forge, it would seem. How unorthodox. Ladies and gents, this is Forge. It's an old map from Season 1. We haven't seen it back since. Is there a good reason for that? Ooh, well, maybe. Maybe so. Regardless, this is it. Game starts. Round 2. Hoping for a comp push, says Nimzo. Yeah, that would be funny. But here we go. Very short space between the bases this time. Radius 400, so we're even smaller than last time. I'm Marshall. And on the north spawn of Forge, we have AndreasG. In his customary Beast Commander going red. Vehicles first, second, and third. Again. What is this? We're not going to have strikers again, surely. No way. And Disc going bots, air, double vehicles. Woohoo! Ooh, a bit of a dichotomy here. Are we going to see Grenadiers from Diskraip? Grenadiers are, of course, very strong at the moment. Going air second, we'll get some nice scouting out. Maybe get the air fabs out to reclaim the com. That's never going to happen, by the way. And we've got the strikers coming out already. This is unbelievable. Forward tank base set up as well for both players. For both players. Out comes the Firefly. He's not going to see the strikers. He's not going to see the strikers literally moving in on him at this moment. He sees them now, though. And now he thinks, oh no, this is problem. Of course, it doesn't sound like that. That's just me doing a really bad accent. Anyone knows that I can't do accents. Here we go. We might have to see the commander move out and deal with this, but he's got a queue set up and he doesn't really want to do that. In comes an Icarus to be able to deal with it. Once again, the Icarus to the rescue. I never thought I'd hear myself say that. Unbelievable. Look at this, pushing Andreas all the way back into his base there. But we have the spinners coming out now as well. That's going to be potentially hazardous for Disc's defense. And there we have the Icarus getting locked down from the spinner. So, with a brief interlude, while we just have this consistent striker force coming down here, trying to pick things off, going to get defended quite nicely. let's have a look around this map. So we've got expansions to the west here that you can try and get up with an airfab here, and Andreas very perceptively comes and see this in advance. That's really unfortunate for Disc over there with his airfabs. Andreas is aware of the airfab presence from Disc, and he sends his strikers over there to have a look. Nice and quick in every case. You've got the expansions all the way off in the corners over here. And in each instance, Disc has been prevented. And on this little pocket as well, and he's had to reclaim the striker that was over there. Meanwhile, though, problem for Disc right now is the front of the base there. We had a few strikers push in and deal with the Galata. Don't know why Galata was there on the front lines, but you know, the defense is what it is. Disc having to react here, going T2 bots. Having to react with a few ants in the first instance with Icarus as well. It's an all forms defense. More strikers from Andreas. With it being such a small map, strikers can get there very, very quickly. Tell you what can get there quicker? Air units. But what can get there slower are spinners. And spinners will lock down airfabs and Icarus, and Disc doesn't want that to happen. Like last time, once the anti-air came out there, his re-expansion prospects diminished very, very rapidly. And now we have the airs out from Andreas as well. Just a single hummingbird can mop up shop very, very quickly. Disc is going to have to respond to this with an airplay of his own. We can see the economy starting to slip towards Andreas now already. And that is because of the expansion out on this direction. But Disc already slipping behind Andreas there in terms of the re-expansion prospects. So he's going to have to play more into the classic game here. It's an interesting play to use these strikers to get a sort of some form of early momentum that that we don't seem to get with bots. They seem to sort of go up, do their thing, and either retreat or get killed off. Whereas Andreas is using his strikers to box in, to make his opponent feel threatened, as it were, and then use that to scope out what's going on and then adapt as a result. So almost to force the opponent into responding to strikers, so that forces Andreas onto the front foot in each instance, allowing him now to bring out the tanks in response to Diskraip's response to the strikers, which is all quite a nice thing. We're not seeing many bots come out, no Grenadiers whatsoever, but now that we have the slower tank forces, Grenadiers might be a useful idea. But as we say, notice we don't have the re-expansion from Disc once again being locked down in all instances. No more airfabs coming out to try and re-expand. No bot fabs going out and round. We've got one here, but it's got to negotiate all of these vehicles. Quite a tricky thing. Quite a tricky thing indeed. First shellers coming out for Andreas's T2 as well. That will really liven things up a little bit. But we've got T2 bots for Disc. Aha. You see locusts. Now that's an interesting play if ever there was one, because look at the back of this base. It is not defended whatsoever. Disc pushing his commander out to expand, using the anti-air of the commander there, having to respond to special tactics. A slammer getting taken out by a leveler shot from afar. Disc now perhaps realizing, yep, there it is, there's the Blue Hawk straight away. He sees just a single shot and it's wham, straight in for the Blue Hawks. Problem solved. Like I said, these are the top two players in the game as of last ranked season, going at it, head to head. Look at this from Disc, such a brave move with his commander, moving it out into the middle. I don't know what happened to the locusts, they've disappeared and I don't see any damage as a result. Looks like they were defended on the back of the base there, which is unfortunate. Look at this belter line. Disgusting. Disgusting. Loads of Blue Hawks though, dealing with everything. Andreas here coming up with the shellers, the levelers rather. A few forces now from Disk managing to push in other directions now, which is nice. Good to see him on the offensive for once, but Andreas has turtled in really quite substantially in most of these places now. Here we have the Blue Hawks facing off against the Levelers. They've had to push in a little bit too far perhaps, but the Levelers there moving towards the commander. Is that intentional? Does Andreas know that the commander is there? Possibly, possibly not. I don't think so. It's just quite fortunate that he's wandered that way, sees the walls, the Blue Hawks trying to deal with the Leveler. Here we see Disk managing to retreat there a little bit. Looking at the economy game, Andreas still in the lead there. Andreas coming out with a storm? A storm? Why a storm? What is this? What is this nonsense? Problem though, the shellers there with their big artillery arcs. Disk now has to do a lot more micro on both fronts now. Andreas with a sizable vehicle force pushing in on this side. Disk out the back here with the expansions. Andreas scouting it, sees that perhaps I need to deal with this. Or thinking, can I finish the game here? That's the bigger question. It could be a bit of a trade. Disk's commander is not at home while Andreas is pushing in. This will devastate Disk's base, no doubt about it. And there's the GG from him! He didn't even try. He's literally just got out his Blue Hawk. He could have run that back and kited all the way. I think that was premature. I don't know about you lot. I mean, he lost his force that was pushing in, but I reckon he was about to. I reckon he was about to deal with this push on the other side there quite handily. Oh, that's why he GG'd on that assault. Look, boom bots coming in from the side. Andreas was ready. He was ready for this. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Andreas just seems to have the counters to everything. It's looking nasty. It's looking very, very nasty. And as we see, as we go back to our little brackets page, let's go and have a chat to them about that game. Hello guys. What a game. Disk, let's start with you. It seemed like you were doing so well in that game, keeping up and everything, and then it seemed to disappear very, very quickly. What happened?
I did a lot mistakes. I misclick and start build Galata, but I must build ladder turret. And I did a lot of other mistakes, and Andreas was good, so I lose.
And Andreas, where do you feel you just managed to keep ahead of Disk in that game? Or is this kind of a standard build for you? Are you feeling stretched?
If I'm feeling stretched, what do you mean by that?
Like, are you kind of working hard here? to deal with this? Because you make it seem like you're sort of preparing for everything, like the boombots there to deal with the aggressive Blue Hawks right at the end.
Yeah, well, at this point you kind of have a lot of the counters built in. So, and the second I decided to go tier 2 tank, which is slightly non-traditional opening tier 2, you immediately start thinking about how might he adapt to this, right? How might he counter my levelers? And that's obviously going to be Blue Hawks. And then you need an option to deal with the Blue Hawks. That's why you see me try and build the Pelters up front. Like, it's kind of a hit and miss, right? And then you see the Boombots to try and snipe those Blue Hawks together with Bombers, right? So it's a matter of not just reacting to what he's doing, but you got to predict what he's reacting to what you're doing and then react to that, right?
It's a lot to think about. And Disk, are you feeling like you're getting the hang of like understanding what Andreas is throwing at you with the striker opening? A lot of people in chat are very surprised by this quote striker thing. They don't really understand it.
I think that in this game Andreas will open with other build, and I was surprised. Okay, we can try do it on Niflheim.
Oh, nice.
Mythalone. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. That's quite a large map, Andreas. What do you say to that?
Yeah, well, it's time to adapt, right? I mean, I'm ready. Niflheim is a good map. It's one that definitely suits Diskraip's playstyle, I'd say. But then again, it suits mine too. I think me and Disk is kind of similar in that regard, that we're not really thriving that much in the early game like some other players do. Like, take for instance Nimso or Nick, right? We're very much late game, has late game strengths. He in the form of just sealing that container with defenses, with walls, with pelters, with the range, right? And me probably in the sense of being in the right places with the army, essentially. So I hope we're gonna get a long game now that goes to the Mao, and maybe you're gonna see us go up to like 20 plus minutes. That would be great, but we'll have to see. Obviously, I'm gonna try and choke him in the beginning.
That would be cool. And well, if however long the game is, we'll have a break after this game so that you guys can recharge a little bit and so that I can rest my voice a little bit. But that is not until after this game. But for now, I will say best of luck once again, and see you on the other side, folks. But as Andreas said, it's quite an interesting choice. We've had two very small maps, and now we're about to go to a very large one. Andreas, I reckon, will still go strikers because it gives him that momentum, as I said in the last game. And the map control, as it were, and the reach in the first portion of proceedings, and allow him to respond accordingly. But we can only find out by playing. Here we go. Select starting location. Thank you, my dear. Also, just going to take the opportunity to say hi to everyone in chat who's saying hi that I haven't responded to. I've seen a load. There's about 50 of you. Can't possibly go through all those names. That would just be impractical, but I'm thinking of you. I see you. I appreciate you. So thank you. Gosh. These guys know where they want to spawn pretty quickly. But here we go. Game 3 of King of the Beasts. Diskraip on the north. In blue. Bots into air into bots again. So still playing very meta, which hasn't worked for him previously. Into a second air factory as fourth, and then into vehicles later on. Andreas, however, already opening vehicles on the south down here. Ugh. Yuck. Into what looks like air second, air third vehicle's fourth, is that? Or is that air second vehicle's air bots? I didn't see as it was being built. There we go. This is Niflheim, of course. We already see the proxy bases as anticipated. I'll start again. The vehicle fab going up there, or the vehicle factory rather going up there. And as I say, most of the expansions here very clustered. Got quite a distance between them all. Players will tend to therefore lock down expansions as a result. Strikers and spinners coming out with the expanding fabs. Again, more strikers. Coming out the front. Disc again playing rather defensively, as he has previously. That second bot factory there with the air coming out as well. Andreas getting a scout with the Firefly. Disc doing the same with his. Sees expansions in a number of different locations. In each case, we've got 5 fabricators for Disc now. Wait, that's 6? What's the 6th one? Is that a cheeky air fab, perhaps? Got 1, 2, 3 there. 4, 5, 6. There's a 7th, apparently. I don't see it. Oh, it's counting the commander as well. Alright, interesting. What we're not seeing are the customary drop meta that we've seen so long. With the Pelicans, Sparks, Boombots, all of that seems to have been thrown out in this game. None of that between these two players. Coming out here for Disc. Just roving, getting some scouting off. An aggressive Icarus doesn't quite manage to do anything useful. We have a little bit of a docks trade there with a few strikers. Managed to take them down. Can't quite get a Faber snipe, but he does delay that expansion for a few seconds. Ah, here we have a Pelican though. That could be the drop that we need. What are we going to see dropped with it though? A fab picked up and put somewhere else on the map? That's possible. We even have air fabricators coming out now, so they're going to be going all over the map. It's going to be a case of Andreas, can he keep up with it all? Got the transition to the ants here now. Vehicles pushing in, doing what they can against these strikers, losing a couple of their number, but managing to take down the mechs. And Andreas coming in another direction. Trying to expand, locked down. From Disc, none of that's getting up there. None of that nonsense. It's quite a nice area to lock down. It's quite a choke point into that little triple mechs expansion. But raiding with all of these strikers just continues to happen here, and these 3 fabricators now at risk of death, and they will die as a result. And, really close to Disc's base as well. He's got loads of fabricators, but no army really defending the base, which is really unusual. Looks like around the back of the planet, the air fab was killed off for Disc. With this roving air from Andreas, which every so often he goes around and gives a movement command to. There we go, dealing with the defense there, so Disc can go and re-expand. Andreas' economy again, pushing out ahead of Disc's. Can Disc manage to keep up with it? He can re-expand here, which will get him 21 back, which is kind of what he wants. Each extractor gives you an additional 7 metal, which you can read in the top there, where my cursor is. So those 3 mechs there will give him back in more or less equals. But still could do a bit more expansion, I feel. He's expanding around the back, which is nice. Andreas is doing the same, though, so he's got to do a bit more work to keep up with that. Oh dear. Oh, that was unfortunate for Disc. The air not being microed at all. Andreas just doing a fly past, completely knocking Disc's air for 6. And then flies straight into a Galata as well. Not great for him whatsoever. He's just lost his air force from a bit of miss micro, and Andreas using a few air fabs sneakily on the other side of the map there. Managing to balance all of these different facets in equal measure. That turret is just not dying. Well, there we go. But an entire force sacrificed as a result. Army counts very, very similar indeed. Disc's air is back in the game. Only 2 air factories though, going up with a 3rd and finishing his T2 bots. Let's have a look at how many air factories Andreas has. That is 2 also. So potentially with this 3rd air factory, Disc will be able to take back that air control, but is he going to be able to make it pay for itself? Andreas has a lot of spinners out on the map. At least he did. There you go, he's moving them in with his platoons, which makes bombing these vehicles harder than it already is because of their hit points. We've got some more locusts coming out as well. Locust and Slammer. Nice little bit of a raid here on the middle. Getting a little sandwiched is Disc. He's pushing in a little too far perhaps, but he was able to take out the Fabricator and the Metal Extractor, which is good. Bit of a win, but I feel like losing that sizable raiding force was a little bit of a loss for Disc. It wasn't necessarily the best trade that he could have gone for. That being said, he has managed to secure this little area here. Won't be too hard for Andreas to push in on that if he wanted to. Being a little sneaky with a pelter there. Always work. Oh, look at this. Grenadier is going to be annoying from behind the walls and Disc isn't going to notice it. Here comes the air. Just going to try and bomb these guys, but there's a Galata sat right there, which is going to prevent it from being remotely useful. Oh dear. Abbas were killed before that pelter was even finished, alerting Andreas to the presence there. Getting a couple of air fabs here to build a pelter there to be able to deal with this stuff. Not nice. Not nice. Andreas is just very, very strong. Let me see in chat, folks, how do you reckon this series is going to come down? Is it going to be a 4-0 to Andreas? A 4-1, perhaps? A 4-2? Or a 4-3? Or do you reckon Disc is going to pull something out of the bag? But we have quite a sizable force here. All of Disc's forces are kind of split up, which, you know, in comparison to Andreas, which is much more clumped together, it's not really going to be able to defend easily. I'm seeing yeses in chat, so you reckon Andreas is going to wipe the floor with Disc? We'll find out. Andreas 7-0. It's only a best of 7, so he only needs to win 4 games, Capri-Sun, to take home the not only the Beast Commander but also $1,000 is up for grabs today. Zero zero, says Yeetmeister. What? Or is that an emoji? An old school emoji? It's interesting because if we look at how Disk is moving his units, he's just pushing them in against the same pressure points each and every time, and Andreas then always responds. But Disk doesn't manage to get any further than just dealing with those little pressure points. And that's it. Andreas there up to 321 metal income, playing 200 from Disk. Factories, Disk has more. But Andreas has the greater fabricator power and the greater army counts. And this little flank here that isn't pushing into the base, Andreas is thinking, you know what? I reckon this is an exposed flank. I'm just going to push through here a little bit. But is he going to manage to? Looks like Disk Slammers for somehow are being able to pick that off with some very, very good trades, it must be said. Four idle fabs taken down. Andreas really turtling up his defences all over the place. Not committing there, doesn't need to. I mean, in theory, he could get a potential con kill there if he microed correctly. It'd be very difficult, but it was possible. It was possible. GG from Disk once more. Andreas just had such a strong economy and was fielding all the units, and Disk's army never really seemed to come together. It was just sort of here, there, everywhere, and never quite managed to make any form of impact, which is incredible. Well, let's hop in and have a chat, because this is going very, very quickly. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
So, that didn't last as long as we were expecting it. Andreas, how come? Why are we not seeing a long game here? You promised us a long game.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got a little bit too excited this time around. Yeah. Well, this map is just, it's big, it's fun. So you just kind of want to run out there and grab all the mechs you can and raid your opponent. And I was able to do that successfully while he struggled a little bit. So that's why you see such a short game, I guess.
Yeah, only 15 minutes, not even that. And Disk, I was sort of watching your armies, and they were all kind of spread out. It seemed like you were trying to defend and raid on a lot of fronts, but you never really managed to actually deal significant damage. How did you find that game, and do you feel like that summed up what you were experiencing?
I don't know. Probably I just was very bad. Usually I play better on this map.
How often do you play against Andreas, though?
Usually I have a better map control and get T2 bots more faster.
Yeah, you weren't really able to lock down the position that I see you lock down a lot this game. Because, yeah, if you see Disc able to hold the positions that he's going for here, you'll see him lock him down, and that's when you get the long game. But, yeah.
Yeah, you just got in there though with the little raiding forces and just punished it a little bit quite early on, which delayed all of that. I noticed the small force of strikers that got up to the northwest on the little raised platform and killed off, I think, 3 or 4 fabricators there, which you must have been pretty pleased with.
Yeah, that delays the entire that side, you know, because those fabbers, they're going to grab the 3 and the 2 in front, and then they're going to set up proxies and defenses and everything. And once you deny them on that platform, that delays his expansion there for, let's say, 3-4 minutes, at what point I can come in with a bigger army before I set up shop. So yeah, it's a very important victory down there.
Speaking of important victories, Disc, this next one is an important victory for you. Andreas now has 3-0. He only needs to win one more game.
Yes.
So are you going to pull something out of the bag here and really spice things up in an area that you think Andreas is weak? Or how are you going to play this next game? Of course, Andreas is here, so you might want to give everything away.
Please do.
I want to try play on Blitz and try something new.
Nice. Yeah, practice that one. One time I lost versus Nimso, so.
on Blitz, blimey. Very small maps today.
Yeah, he doesn't want to see long games, it seems.
And also from maps from earlier seasons, Disc. Have you been studying these other older maps, or do they just hold? Like, are they one of your favourites, or why the older maps?
I want to play on maps which I think interesting for me.
That's fair. And Andreas, what do you think about Blitz? Other than the fact that you lost to Nimzo and have done a bit of practice.
Well, it's going to be Slugfest. It's a super small map. It's 300 or... I think it's just 300 radius. It might be 350. And you spawn opposite of each other. 350. And you see just com action, and probably going to see some grenadiers from some of us. Like, it's really just getting dirty. Down with your gloves. But then again, like I've been doing kickboxing before, so I know my jabs, you know. So it's gonna be rough for him this time around too. But maybe he can throw an upset. Like, who knows what kind of skills Disc hold when it comes to comboxing. I have not fought Disc in comboxing, I'll tell you.
Best of luck on the other side, folks. And Disc, let's hope that you can pull out a win here and stop Andreas winning that $1,000, because don't forget, that's what we're playing for here as well. You won't try, you will do. You will do.
Have some faith, son.
Anyway, until then, folks, see you on the other side. Well, yeah, it might not be the final game. You're correct, Wolfenden. I don't know. That was my bad. I've no idea. A Freudian slip is what that was. You know what a Freudian slip is, folks? It's when you say one thing but you mean your mother. It's the 4th game in the best of 7 series. Could be the final game. Could be the final game. We'll have to see if Disc can deal with it, but he's going for double bots into vehicles, no air, and Andreas has once again gone bots vehicles, or rather vehicles bots, and with the strikers out already, picking away at things. Grenadiers are not the ideal way to deal with strikers. They move way too fast and can duck and weave around Grenadiers until the cows come home. It's not the right way to go about doing things. Has Disc lost a fabber or two there? The answer is no. Very, very lucky for him. Andreas, though, has only gone 2 fabs, bringing the commander out the side here. Now, something that should be noted, and this is why Andreas is pushing out here, is this is the way Blitz, this map, always used to be played. It was a case of you build up a little bit, you send your commanders out here, and it's a bit of a comboxing in this little zone here. I think what Andreas is trying to do is, while Diskraip is planning on doing that, he's trying to pester him from behind, just to keep him agitated, keep him delayed, and stop him from having to deal with Andreas on this side. And we can see that with these streams of units on all sides here. We've got these strikers that can duck and weave against these grenadiers, and they will be doing, popping in and out. The commander moves forward. It sets up the metal there. Moving forward. Is he going to try and pinch the next metal, or is that Disc doing the same? Disc now coming down, though, slightly delayed in terms of getting this proxy up. Here comes Andreas, though, ready to build the walls, with the grenadiers supporting him on the front lines here. Already. Not great news for him. Here we go, it could well be over right here. There's a good uber cannon from Andreas, popping up an air factory for some reason. Misclick, I guess, why not? You got some grenadiers, though, picking off at the front lines there. You can see Disc's commander going down, 78%. Andreas only taken 1% point of damage. Disc having to push in here. Disc needs some more walls. He's forgotten number 1 rule of comboxing, build walls, and pelters have come up on the rear there, so he can't push in even further because the pelter coverage is there. He has to retreat now. Andreas has the center zone. Andreas has it locked down. Disc doesn't have as many fabs, he has as many factories. Doesn't quite have as much eco. Andreas has won the middle ground. And he's going to use that as his staging post now. We see the bot factory coming up. The commander's going to be sat there, defending this point. Some would say that is GG immediately. Others would say Disc is still in this. Managed to even get a couple of docks blinking in around back in the base. We don't have much metal on this planet, only 30 mech, so it's not worth getting more than 2 fabs out, and that's why we see such little expansion from both of these players. Disc still has his 2 fabs alive over there. All of Andreas's fabs came straight in, dedicating this middle ground. And we're going to see the pelter creep now. We see the 2 pelters there, a little bit of expansion in the mid, but there's nothing stopping him from building a few pelters on the other side of this crevasse here. Grenadiers with that ranged look. Look at how much range that has. It can take away that bot factory or pick away at it. The army count's comparable. Disc slightly lower in terms of army count and economy. It's a case of, can Disc get this T2 up in time? Andreas just starting as well, very perceptive of him. Has he seen it coming up from Disc? He hasn't, but that's just the way you play. Now Andreas, while he's building all this in the middle, can focus on everything else. There's a little bit of raiding going on here, there, and everywhere from Disc, just trying to get into the base. But once again, we see all of Disc's units kind of all spread out and not really coming together in any meaningful way. A bit of a docks wiggle there to deal with all of those strikers, and it does so successfully. But we do have some vehicles and grenadiers a little confused. They can't choose their target here. They're surrounded on both sides, forked, if you will. There's just so much going on and not a lot of army consolidated. And Andreas just has all of this middle ground. It's all a case of can Disk get this T2 up? He's struggling for economy now, below 50% efficiency. This is going to be going up very, very slowly now. He has to get some expansions working, and it looks like his fabricators got killed off on the backside here. Only one remaining. And that's about to get devastated as well. Down it goes. Oh, 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 oh. There we go. A little bit of an engagement over here. Oh man. Grenadiers sound like a silenced pistol, don't they? Or at least silenced pistols in video games. You know, that little weird whistling noise, rather than the thump that they actually make in real life. I don't know why I'm talking about the unit's sound effects. That's completely irrelevant to the game. Or is it? You know, Andreas still with the Grenadiers on the front lines. Picking away, being annoying to Disk, who's got the Blue Hawk out now. And the Slammers. Andreas, though, 2 Blue Hawks instead. I feel like the Blue Hawks have the better option here. Slammers, if you're going for a comm snipe, perhaps. GG from Disk, he's called it! And the chance at $1,000 and ownership of the Beast Commander goes to Andreas. What a swift tournament that was. Best of 7 over in 4 games. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Well then. That was a thing. That was a thing. Let's go and talk to them and see exactly what was going on there, because that was very, very quick. Is that it, guys? What was that?
That was GG, well played.
God, blimey. Disk, what happened there?
I don't know. Probably I think more about chat and interview than about game.
Oh.
2 tough questions, Marshall.
2 tough questions?
Yeah.
You want me to ask them, or have you got them for me?
What? Exactly, 2 tough. I can't even understand.
What 2? 2 or 2? Which 2 is it, Andreas?
To 2 or not to 2?
To 2?
I want to.
1 was a ray horse. 1-1 was 1-2. 1-1-1 race. 1-1-1-1-2. Well, I guess how do you feel then, Andreas? Since you are now the proud owner of the King Beast Commander and $1,000.
Ooh, yeah, I feel great. I'm gonna rock that King Commander in ranked now, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, he's the king, right?" Guys, it's gonna be great. It feels good beating Disk. Disk is a great player. He's been around for a long while, and he's no walkover. Like here 4-0, I think he could have gone differently for sure. And he had a great. I'm gonna stop this music. I got some epic Star Wars music going in the background. Doesn't suit this interview maybe. No, but he had he's a great player and he got some great strategies. But this time, I guess he wasn't as sharp as I know this can be. But who knows? Maybe he'll be back even stronger later.
Yeah, indeed, because of course this is probably going to be a rolling tournament once a season. But now, as of course you have the king title, so the top ranked player of next season gets to challenge you. Do you reckon you'll be able to hold on to the crown, or do you reckon people will be really wanting to challenge you for the chance to get $1,000 and the Beast Commander?
Oh yeah. I have a word for everybody down there, home. You gotta practice, okay? I'm ready for you. Whoever you are, just practice hard and come challenge me, and I'm gonna give you a hard time, and I'm gonna knock you down. But I'm looking forward to the challenge, eh?
We'll see.
We will see.
Disc, Nimso, Kiwi, come on, Kiwi. Get out of your hiding spot. I want to play you. Nick, who knows? And anybody else, right? There's so many potential good players who could really step up. And I'll be here, ready to beat you ass, yeah.
That was the end of that tournament. Thank you guys both for participating. I hope you both had fun. Congratulations on your win, Andreas. Rock that Beast Commander.
Oh yeah.
Go into those 8v8 games and show him who's boss.
You better. Oh shit! Everybody's gonna target me now. Does it have any return policy on that Beast Commander?
If you don't want it, I'm sure Disc will happily take it.
I'll take the challenge.
We'll take the challenge. All right. Thank you very much for playing, you two.
Thank you, Marshall, and thank you, PA,
Thank
for
you.
hosting it.
I will say good night to you. Good night. So, ladies and gents, that is the first installment of King of the Beasts. I hope you very much enjoyed it. Thank you everyone for following me who did. And it's a shame we didn't quite have a longer edition, but I guess that just shows how powerful Andreas is and how skilled he is at this game. He puts the practice in. He understands the game, the way it works, he follows the patches. He keeps up with everything. Who will challenge him next time? We'll find out. But until that time, folks, I have been Marshall. And all I can do is say thank you very much for watching. I hope you very much enjoyed it. I did. But, that's it from me. Until next time, bye for now.